Welcome back to another video, guys. So, this year, there are several new faces on the high school campus staff. Recently, the Bear Facts staff got a chance to sit down with them and ask them about what they do.
Hi, I'm Julie Mashaney.
Megan Russell.
My name is Coach Wittenberg.
My name is Marcus James, but of course the students call me Mr. James.
Hi, my name's Madison Sugart. My students call me Miss Sugart or Miss Shug.
My name is Carly Derwin.
My name is Brian Christian.
My name is Morgan Luster.
I teach algebra, geometry, and algebra lab.
I do inclusion for special education students.
I teach financial math and one section of algebra lab, and I am also the volleyball and soccer JV coaches.
I teach high school band here, and I also go to the middle school in the afternoons to teach beginner classes and their band.
I teach speech, mainly speech, but I also teach American Sign Language.
I am a counselor at LCM High School.
I teach mathematics specifically at LCM. I teach honors geometry, regular geometry, and AP calculus. I also coached one of the coaches for the mathematics team.
I teach choir, AP music theory, and music appreciation.
On and off, I've been teaching for about 15 years.
I have been in education for 15 years.
This is my second year.
This is my second year teaching.
This will be my second year teaching.
I have been a counselor for 4 years, and I'm beginning my 5th year at LCM.
This is my 32nd year teaching mathematics.
This is my first year.
My favorite thing about teaching is that moment when a student suddenly goes and realizes they know what they're doing.
My favorite thing about teaching is the aha moment when you see a student has been struggling with something and you have found a way to get that information into the student's brain in a way that they understand it. And when you see them kind of shine and smile, that's why I do it.
My favorite thing about teaching would be just getting to inspire students to work their hardest and do their best at everything. No matter what your thoughts are about yourself in learning, you can succeed. There is a way for everyone to succeed at everything.
Helping kids to improve and fostering a love of music as they get older. That's always great.
My favorite thing about teaching is the relationships I gain between me and my students.
My favorite thing about counseling is building connections with students and building relationships with them, helping them reach their goals.
There are several things. Probably the most favorite one is when students who have had difficulty in mathematics suddenly sort of snap and start getting it. The other is for the brighter students, really challenging them and, at least at the beginning, probably making them feel a little stupid, and then watching them as they learn and grow and they actually become, they learn something and become a lot smarter about it.
So far, it's been interacting with the kids and watching their drive when it comes to learning new music.
I wanted to move on to more difficult subjects than what I was teaching in junior high.
I have taught elementary for 10 years. I was an elementary teacher, and I was kind of thrown into a position where I was needed at a high school. And so I got to the high school a little fearful because, like I said, I've worked with the younger students for so long that coming to high school was a shock. But I really learned that our high school kids are basically the smaller version of the little people that they were, so it's not much different.
My favorite thing about teaching high schoolers would probably be that they're almost adults, and I can treat them as such, where they're almost adults, especially in my class with it being financial math. They learn how to budget their money, they learn all of those types of things, so I can treat them as if they are almost adults.
High school in particular, well, I mean, teenagers are a little more relatable. I mean, the middle school kids are sweet and they're goofy little meme machines, but with high school, you can usually talk to them like adults a little bit more. and they'll understand it, and they usually take to more intrinsic motivations, like they're usually already bought in with music, you know.
I previously taught middle school, so I decided to go into high school because I love the spirit aspect of the high school.
I like the high school level of students because they're starting to think about what they want to do after high school and what they want to do in college, or if they choose to enter the workforce or military. So that's something that I really enjoy working with them on, is figuring out what they want to do post-secondary after high school.
Well, I love teaching all grades. I've taught everything from 5th grade math all the way through high school, and all of them I love. So I just love teaching.
Honestly, I have a nephew, and he is 6, and I don't know if I could handle a classroom full of my nephew.
I wanted to teach math because many people are afraid of math, and I feel like with my communication abilities that I'm able to tell people how to do math in a way that's not so mathy.
It started with being a general education teacher. I taught gen ed for 5 years, and I saw that special education students were treated differently being in the general education classrooms. And so as I progressed through my career, I saw that there were a lot of kiddos in special education that still struggled. And when inclusion became open, or inclusion became a topic that people started learning about and really wanting to implement into their classrooms, I knew that keeping students in those general education classrooms for as long as possible was better for the student. And so by being able to go in and offer those services to the kiddos, they felt less different. They felt like they could be like everybody else and just get the support in the classroom if and when they needed it.
I decided to teach math because I have always loved math. Math has almost came easy to me, and so I want to make sure that all of the students in my classes know that they can also be good at math. It's not impossible, although some students have already shut down by the time they get to my class because they are juniors and seniors. So just getting to encourage them and make sure that they know they can be successful.
So I was in band all the way through from 6th grade up through my senior year, and of course in college, and I just love everything about it. You know, I love teaching music. I had some really great band directors when I was in school, and they inspired me, and I want to do the same.
I wanted to mainly teach sign language because I grew up using sign language throughout my life, and then I'm teaching speech just because I think it's a good class to have to gain knowledge on how to speak in front of others as well as be prepared in an interview situation.
Mathematics is a subject that I found very easy in high school and in college, but I know, talking to many of my friends in high school, they did not find it anywhere close to being easy. And so I try and make it so that it is something that everybody can grasp. There was one teacher that said, if you're going to be a teacher, this stuck with me, at some point you need to have been in a class where you felt like a complete idiot, because that's how some of your students are going to feel one day. And so, you know, I try and remember that when I'm teaching.
I have been singing since before I could talk, so it was just baby babble, but matching pitch, and I've always loved it. I also played an instrument, so I've just kind of always done music.
I've taught at Mauriceville Middle School, at Little Cypress Junior High, and I also taught a year in Kansas City.
I have spent 15 years in 3 different districts. I taught elementary science and social studies in Beaumont, general education, and then after being there for 5 years, I came to Little Cypress, and I taught, that's when I chose special education. I transitioned from general education to special education at Little Cypress Elementary and Little Cypress Intermediate, and I did that for 5 years, and I then decided that I wanted to be an educational diagnostician. So I left LCM and went to Vider to be a diagnostician, and that's where I was first thrown into working with high school students. And I really kind of fell in love with the older population. And so after being a diagnostician, for 4 years, I decided to come back to LCM to work at the high school to do inclusion because I have my own personal children who are now coming through.
I actually made a very large jump. I came from LCE and I taught kindergarten last year.
So this is my second year teaching, like I mentioned before. My first year I was actually teaching music at Viter High School.
Previously, my first year teaching, I taught at Bridge City Middle School.
I worked at LCM High School for 6 years as an English teacher and volleyball and track coach. I left LCM for 4 years and was a counselor in Viter, and I'm returning to LCM for my 5th year in counseling.
Immediately before here, Bridge City. Over the years, I've taught in Los Fresnos in South Texas. I taught at Rumoridi International School in Bangkok, Thailand. I taught at the Anglo-American School at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, Russia. I taught at the British International School in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I taught at the American School in Bombay in Mumbai, India. I've taught at St. Gilgen International School in St. Gilgen, Austria, and I've taught at the United World College in Costa Rica.
What was
And immediately before here I was at, and you may not like this, Bridge City High School.
Well, I currently also work at a church where I'm a paid singer, and I have done private voice lessons in the past as well.
My dream job when I was younger was to be a veterinarian.
In college, my dream job, or so what I thought it was working with children who had some kind of disorders. I really wanted to work with children with eating disorders. And I learned very quickly that my heart is just working with children with disabilities or disorders. And so I'm doing my dream job. I'm getting to work with students who, for whatever reason, have adversities, and I get to help them feel successful. And so I'm living it.
I am doing it. My dream job was teaching and or coaching.
Be a band director.
My dream job is to one day maybe be a fashion designer.
My dream job was to become a high school counselor or to become an editor, and I went with counseling.
Growing up, my dream job was always to be an engineer. When I got to university, I found out I did not like engineering. I loved the math part of it, but I did not like the engineering part. So I ended up majoring in mathematics and history and ended up getting a job teaching mathematics.
Growing up, my dream job was to be the next big pop singer.
During high school, I was quiet at first until I discovered journalism and band, and then I was quite outgoing and very driven and determined to be successful.
Oh man, how was I during my high school years? Difficult. I was a student who thought she knew everything. I was a student who really didn't want anyone to tell me what to do. And so I was mouthy and I got myself in trouble until I found a high school psychology teacher, and she really made me see the value in myself.
During my high school years, I played both volleyball and soccer. I was an AP student, I was an honors student, so school was something that I took very seriously. I just took school very seriously. I always made sure all of my grades were intact. I was that student who, I'm also a perfectionist, so if I got a grade that I didn't like, it may have still been an A, but if I didn't like it or if I got a B, I freaked out. So I held myself to a very high standard.
I was mostly into band, but I was also in like student council and Interact Club. I was involved in a lot of things, you know.
In my high school years, I was a strutter at Bridge City High School. I was super involved in sports and extracurricular, and overall I'd say I was a good kid.
During my high school years, I actually attended LCM High School. I was involved in volleyball, soccer, track, student council, and it's just really neat to be back at LCM working where I went to high school at.
I was a nerd, but I actually mixed with pretty much all of the crowds at school. I was in band, so I was one of the band geeks, but I had friends who were in a number of different areas, from sports to whatever. The kids who were on the football team would come to get me to help them pass their math class. So.
For the most part, I was kind of a loner. I pretty much only stuck with the band kids and a couple of the choir kids. But other than that, I mostly only stayed with my family or my now husband.
I have many pets. I have 5 dogs, 3 cats.
I have several pets. I would have all of the pets if my husband would allow me. Right now we currently have 3. 2 rescues and my best friend, my doodle.
I have 3 dogs. I have 2 Great Danes and a toy Australian Shepherd. One of my Great Danes weighs 165 pounds and the other one weighs 135, and then we have about I think he's probably like 17 pounds, a little toy Australian Shepherd.
I have 2 cats.
I do have 3 cats. One's name's Yankee, he's my boy, and then I have 2 girl cats named Lady and June.
We do have pets. We have 1 dog, his name is Gus, and he's a hunting dog.
I do. She is my fur baby. Her name is Midnight. She is a lab and she is taller than me.
I think as a student, if you want to be successful, you really need to know what kind of resources you have available and not be afraid to reach out to others for help.
My advice to students, for them to succeed and have individual success, is very difficult. The advice is difficult because it's so abstract, but you can do it. If you want to and you try, you can do it. You truly can. You just got to get over the fear of failing. Ask for help if needed, and you can succeed. You just have to want it.
Advice I would give to students to succeed would be just to do their best. Don't shut down whenever things get hard. It is possible to overcome challenges. There are going to be a lot of challenges in your life, so just one thing is just to persevere and push through the hard times and make sure that you are giving it your all. And it can be done.
Don't stop trying. The world is run by people who show up. Usually that's half the battle.
My advice I would give to students in order to succeed would be just to try your hardest and dream big and know that you can always accomplish your goals as long as you try hard.
My advice for student success would be to be proactive in making a goal and to figure out what's needed to obtain that goal. And if you're not sure, come see your counselors or your teachers.
Work hard, and my motto, make yourself useful. My grandfather used to always tell me that when we were working in the garden and he saw me just standing there. Brian, make yourself useful. If you can make yourself useful, you will always be valued wherever you work.
Just keep trying. I'm the world's biggest procrastinator, but don't let that deter you. Kind of keep putting in the effort, do a little bit every day, and it goes a long way.
Outside of school, I'm mostly responsible for raising 3 children, taking care of all of the pets, and looking out for just random people that show up needing help.
Outside of school, I am a mom and I'm a wife, and so a lot of time I am on sports fields, but I also enjoy being outside, and so anytime that I'm not on the field, outside on sports fields, I'm outside. If it is walking through the woods, if it's spending time at the beach, it's somewhere needing to be and wanting to be with nature.
Outside of school, I spend time with my family. My husband and I we have 12 nieces and nephews, so we spend a lot of time with our families and our dogs, and that's pretty much it.
I like to cook. I like to read. My wife and I, we go on hikes on the weekends. It's just what we do.
Outside of school, I like to hang out with my sisters. I'm a big family-oriented person, and as well as I like to be home with my cats.
Outside of school, I spend a lot of time with my family. We enjoy being outdoors. We like going to the lake, and we're a big hunting family. So just spending time with them is one of my favorite things to do.
My hobbies outside of school, I love to travel and to hike. There's not a lot of hiking in Southeast Texas, so I usually travel to do that. When I'm down here, I like to go and volunteer at the Humane Society in Beaumont, and I also love playing my Xbox.
I like to cook and try new recipes a lot. I love swimming. My dog I mentioned will jump in and swim with me, so I say that she's part otter. And I spend time with my family and my husband a lot.
Anything interesting about me would be I was born in Cuba and I had a really hard time getting a birth certificate to get my driver's license to even get this job.
Interesting facts about me that people would like to know would be how much I really enjoy being with nature. I feel that when you can be in nature or when you can be with the wilderness, it really kind of resets who you are and allows you to come back.
An interesting fact about me that people might like to know is that I've had double jaw surgery. Junior year going into my senior year. It was a pretty intense surgery, but yeah, that's an interesting fact.
Nothing that's been declassified yet.
I feel like I live a kind of boring life. Well, I guess one thing that's kind of interesting right now is up until December of this semester, I'm a student just like the rest of you guys. I'm doing my clinical teaching here. And then, so I know how it is. I'm still doing it. I know the student life. So I can kind of relate to people on that.
With all that being said, punch that like button in the face and subscribe to LCM Bear Facts Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff.